again, YouTube. There's something missing from my workspace. That would be my 3D printing materials. But I didn't stop 3D printing, I just moved them to their new home on a warehouse handcart. I'm going to put a link in the description to the Amazon page for these units. They're about $170. The wheels are excellent, which is unusual. The material is a molded plastic, fiber reinforced. It's very sturdy, it's very stable, it doesn't wobble or bend. It's got 350-pound rating. As you can see, I can fit every single thing on there, including with space to clean, work on, remove from the plate, put it in there and clean it in my ultrasonic, cure it in my curing station. It's brilliant. All the spare bits, tools, and materials fit right there. I mounted a surge strip with a 10-foot cable on it. I can store this anywhere, it'll fit. And it's great to work on. As for the Frozen Sonic Mini 4K problems I've been having, well, I'm still having them. My print rate, success rate's very high now, but as we were discussing in other videos, the unit just simply cannot produce flat surfaces. It just can't. Whether it's the interpretation software or the mechanism's inaccuracies in flat surfaces versus sculpted figurines show that much more readily. It doesn't work. I mean, these game aids that I reprinted because my other ones broke, I printed up 2 of them here in the translucent green. Both of them had to be wet sanded because they were ribbed. You would run your fingers on it and hear the ribbing. So, yeah, it can't produce flat surfaces. Just even after wet sanding, if I tilt it, you can still see some of the lines. Good enough. It works. Nothing to write home about, though. I've seen better results on other people's lesser priced 3D printers, like the Mars printers seem to be able to do. Let's get focus. My phone sucks. Anyways, seem to be able to do flat surfaces just fine without the stridation lines, which I am certain as a result of the flex in the unit. These guys were printed, these little blood drop tokens were printed vertically, all right, and they had significant ribbing. Let's see if I can get this one done. I can't see it since I wet sanded them. Nevertheless, they were printed vertically and they had ribbing. And of course, these being too large to fit on the build plate here were printed, of course, at an angle. And it was the same thing. It didn't really matter. It didn't matter if they were vertical, flat, or at an angle. The layer lines that result from the inaccuracies of the unit just remain. And I know that someone sent me an STL file link with some reinforcement brace supports for the unit. I have not been able to find anyone locally who is willing to machine them for me at a price that is, well, less than 50% of the price of the machine, which would be $200, $240 or so, is what the local shops want to mill it out of aluminum for me. And that's just too much. I mean, I'd rather just buy a Mars Pro or another unit like a Saturn or something that people are having a lot more success with on flat surfaces, and just use that for things that I care about, the flat surfaces, and use the Sonic for the one thing it does really well, and that's figures. With the really fine detail on those figures, it looks great. But honestly, I still wouldn't recommend the Sonic after all this. It's a flawed design with problems. And you can fix some of the problems, I suppose, with the braces. Unless I can get a hold of the braces at a reasonable price, I won't be able to verify that. Other than that, I'd recommend if you were doing more technical prints that you would go elsewhere from the Sonic Mini 4K. It just can't. At least mine can't. And I haven't seen anyone on a Sonic Mini 4K actually print technical components that have not come out very heavily lined, looking lined to the point you wonder if they were printed on a PLA printer rather than the SLA. So other than that, on that note of PLA, I am looking at some of the new PLA printers that have been coming out that have the higher resolution. If you guys have any recommendations on a really nice current batch of PLA printers, I'd love to add one to the set of tools I have. I think that it would be a nice expansion for more mechanical pieces, things that need to be stronger with the options for different filaments that just can't be achieved in our resin printing. All right, thank you guys. See you again.